Right now, Shai might be the most consistent player in the league. He pretty much puts up 30 plus every single night. And because of that, the Thunder right now are in a battle for the top seed out west. But I gotta be real, if you told me Shai was gonna be this good 3 years ago, I would have straight up laughed in your face.
I mean, we all knew he always had potential. He showed the flashes through the first couple seasons he had in the league. But these past 2 years, I mean, he's gone from just like a borderline all-star to straight up being an MVP candidate.
Before we start talking about the incredible rise of Shai, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos. So we really both aren't big college basketball guys until the tournament. It's happening right now, so we're tuning in, but I do not remember Shai, like any moments from him at Kentucky. It's kind of weird. He was pretty good there. He was a one and done. That Kentucky team made the Sweet 16 in 2018, but I cannot remember anything from him there.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. That's me with most college basketball players, so maybe he's not that much different, but yeah, I got absolutely nothing from his Kentucky run.
So we did not know him going to the draft, but he declared just after one season, like I said, he was drafted 10th overall by the Charlotte Hornets, but in a classic Charlotte Hornets move, they traded him. They went back one spot and took Miles Bridges, and all they got for that was 2 second-round picks.
Oh my God.
What a move.
Classic Hornets. Trade a potential MVP candidate away, and you pick up 2 seconds and an abuser.
Yep.
Good job, Mike. Great trade.
I'm sure Shai was happy as hell about this, though. He gets to go play in LA. For the Clippers, maybe not a great run franchise, but you had Steve Ballmer there now. You had Doc, and Shai had a sneaky good rookie season. It was completely overshadowed because you had Luka, who had one of the best rookie seasons ever. Trey was great that season, and Ayton was pretty solid, the first overall pick. But Shai definitely showed some flashes.
Yeah, he averaged basically 11 points per game, 3.5 assists, 3 rebounds, and he was part of the Clippers team that won 48 games and played the Warriors tough in the first round. He was kind of inconsistent in that series, though. I mean, he had 3 games where he scored 20 plus, and every other game he scored 7 or less, so he definitely showed during his rookie season that he had a lot of potential.
Then we got the infamous night where Paul George got traded to the Clippers and Kawhi signed there. And in that Paul George trade, the Clippers sent out Shai, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 first-round pick swaps. An insane fleece for the Thunder because they have the better player right now. Shai is much better than Paul George, and they got all the assets. I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out. If the Clippers win a championship, it was worth it, but just straight up looking at it right now, insane fleece.
You do kind of have to add the asterisk that if the Clippers hadn't made this trade, they weren't going to get Kawhi also. So they were essentially trading that package away for both Paul George and Kawhi. Even still, Shai's better than both of them right now.
I mean, if you listen to Doc Rivers, apparently they could have signed Kawhi and kept Shai because reportedly he said he tried to convince Kawhi to keep Shai because he knew he was going to be a future star.
Oh, did he?
Uh-huh, definitely.
There's a great reason why I don't listen to what Doc Rivers has to say.
That is the biggest cap I've ever heard.
That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I know Shai had potential his rookie year, but you're looking at this kid who averaged 10 points per game off the bench and like, you know what? We don't need Paul George because we're keeping him. Bull shit.
So now Shai was on that 2020 Thunder team. They had Chris Paul, Gallinari, Schroeder, and Steven Adams. Just a really weird mix of guys, and I had no idea how good this team was going to be.
I thought they'd be god-awful. Like, worst team in the league awful.
Okay, I thought they'd be bad. Maybe not worst team in the league, but that backcourt of Shai and Chris Paul balled out. You had Shai, who was the leading scorer at 19 a night. He had some monster games. He had back-to-back 32-point games. The first came in a blowout win against the Suns, and then he got a little revenge game on the Clippers when Paul George returned to OKC. He led them to a 118-112 win. And how about this stat line from Shai against the Timberwolves in January? 20 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists. He became the youngest player to ever do that. Some Russell Westbrook numbers.
It is. And overall, the Thunder, they had a better season than most people, myself included, thought possible. I mean, I was flabbergasted that they were playing as well as they were. Because again, I thought they were going to be the worst team in the league. I thought they were going to be fighting for the #1 pick. Instead, they were fighting for home court in the playoffs.
I mean, Chris Paul was just a masterclass out there with some of those young guys. They matched up with the Rockets in the bubble. In game 1, Shai was not very good. The Rockets won comfortably, 111-98. Game 2, though, Shai was fantastic. He had 31 points on 17 shots. Unfortunately, the Rockets would still get the win. They'd go up 2-0. Game 3 was a must-win for the Thunder, and they responded. Shai, Chris Paul, and Gallinari combined for 69, and they got a 119-107 win.
Game 4 came down to the wire, but the Thunder, they held on to tie the series at 2-2. Shai again was really solid, 18, 12, and 6. We had ourselves a tied series, and I think it was at this point where we were like, really sucks that this series has happened in the bubble. Because this series as a whole had so many good games, so many close games, and so many great storylines too. I mean, Russ going back to OKC as a member of the Rockets, Chris Paul going back to Houston as a member of the Thunder. Like, it was great to watch it in the bubble because we just didn't have anything around that time, but God, if we saw this in front of fans, it would have been legendary.
No, we got robbed because imagine like game 5 tie series and then Russ makes his return. Didn't really play well, but the crowd would have been hyped. And then the Rockets win 114-80. Like, Toyota Center would have been rocking for that game.
And OKC would have been rocking for game 6. Now, Shai wasn't great. He had 10 points on okay shooting, but Chris Paul down the stretch, my God. Dude activated the clutch gene out of nowhere. Thunder won 104-100 to force a game 7. And God, game 7 in front of a crowd. I keep thinking about it, and I was like, would have been so good.
And that game 7 actually was one of the better playoff games in recent memory. It never gets talked about because, like we said, no fans, but it was a close game throughout. Russ was much better this game. Chris Paul once again was hitting clutch threes. Lou Dort was on fire till the very end. We'll talk about that. And with 142 left, Shai would hit a corner 3 and the Thunder would take a 1-point lead.
PJ Tucker, though, he responded with a floater to give the Rockets the lead back, and at the very end of the game, James Harden had that block on Lou Dort, and Lou Dort tried to throw it off Harden. Okay. Sound logic? If there's like a minute and a half left in this game with like 5 seconds like this, like, brother, you need to just get the ball back and chuck it at the rim and hope it goes in. Like, that is an unnecessary risk. During that offseason, though, the Thunder, they decided to fully embrace their rebuild. They parted ways with Billy Donovan because he had no interest in being part of their youth movement. They replaced him with Mark Dagnall, and they basically sent out every veteran player they had. They sent out Chris Paul to the Suns, Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers, Steven Adams to the Pelicans, Gallinari to the Hawks, and they made it clear, going forward, this is going to be Shai's team. Only problem was at this point, he basically didn't have a team around him.
Yeah, the Thunder won only 22 games. Shai was good. I mean, he was a bright spot, 23.7 points. 6 assists, almost 5 rebounds a night. He had a game winner against the Hornets in December. He put up a career high 42 against the Spurs later that season. But unfortunately, in March, it was clear they weren't going to do anything. They shut him down with a tear in his plantar fascia. But that offseason, they decided to make it even more clear, yeah, we're building around this guy. They locked him up to a 5-year, $172 million contract extension.
Bargain.
Complete bargain.
And in the 2021 draft, they used the 6th pick to take Josh Giddey, and with the 18th pick, they took Trey Mann. They also took a guy by the name of Sengun with the 16th overall pick, but they traded him to the Rockets for 2 first-round picks that did not convey. So, a pretty draft when you also consider that Kuminga and Franz Wagner went right after Giddey.
Yeah, and then you trade Sengun for nothing, and then Trey Mann, I mean, he was all right there for a couple years, but they just sent him out in that Gordo deal, so yeah, not the best draft overall with the assets and picks they had going into it.
Unless Gordo hits like a game winner for them in the playoffs or something.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Thunder once again in 2022 were not very good. Shai again was solid, 24.5 points, basically 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Had another revenge game against the Clippers where he hit a step back 3 for the win, just sent Nick Batum into another dimension.
He did.
In December, he was named Player of the Week for the first time in his career, but once again, end of March, got shut down with an ankle injury.
The Thunder would finish with 24 wins, the 4th worst record in the league. They'd get the 2nd and 12th pick in the 2022 NBA draft, and they had themselves a draft with the 2nd pick, they took Chet, who nowadays is looking like a future superstar. And then with the 12th pick, they took Jalen Williams, who is already a star. So what a damn draft for the Thunder.
Incredible draft. Disgusts me. I hate it.
It's not fair.
It's not fair at all.
And that brings us to last season, where Shai just took that massive leap. He went from a guy who had not made an all-star game to an all-NBA first-team guy and like a borderline top 10 player, or a top 10 player straight up if you want to say it. He upped his scoring to 31.4 a night, averaged 5.5 assists, almost 5 rebounds, 1.5 steals. And I remember specifically, he had a couple games where he torched the Blazers.
Torched is an understatement. He boiled us alive.
There was the back-to-back wins they had over us in December. He had that game where he dropped 35 and hit that game winner. Again, just shook Justice Winslow.
Then he had that game where he came to Portland in February and he had 44 points and 7 assists, including that one dunk where he just brought the ball over and just jammed it down on us. And I was like, since when did he learn how to do that?
Exactly. I was like, where did he get that from? And what's crazy about that game, that was his career high. I mean, he also equaled that tally against the Pelicans, but he's never scored more than that. I'm sure you've seen like the memes going around Twitter and everything. Like,
31-point man.
Yeah, 31. Every night he somehow gets 31 points. And overall, the Thunder were much better this season. Josh Giddey had a really great sophomore year. Jalen Williams was a breakout rookie. And they'd end up winning 40 games, got them the 10th seed. They snuck into the play-in. And how about the Thunder? They go into New Orleans. I know they didn't have Zion, but that's a playoff environment. They had CJ, they had Brandon Ingram, and they escaped with a 117-114 win. Shai hit a shot with 28 seconds left to give them the lead. Lou Dort iced the game at the line. And Shai and Giddey played out of their minds this game.
They did get smashed in the next game by the Timberwolves, but you know what? Incredible year for them. Just the fact they made the play-in was incredible. Shai was first team All-NBA, finished top 5 in MVP voting, and going into this season, I mean, he was in like top 10 player of the league discussions. I know I was a believer.
I was not.
I was gonna say, how about you?
Yeah, now this season, like I said, I kind of was feeling like, Shai's a bit overrated. I wanted to see him like average 30 plus points a game on an actual like contending team. Literally what he's done this season, like no doubts anymore. The consistency is just ridiculous. His scoring's gone down just a hair, like 0.5 points a game, but the rest of his stats are up across the board. 6.4 assists, 5.6 rebounds, 2.1 steals. That's leading the league, and almost a block a game. He's doing it on both ends. And like I said, the efficiency is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's rare as for a guard to put up 30 plus points per game on 50% field goal shooting. Mike did it 5 times, Steph did it once, and that's it other than Shai, who's about to do it for his 2nd straight season.
But most importantly this year, the Thunder win games. I mean, they got a really good shot at that 1st seed. It's basically them or the Nuggets now that Cat got injured. And just to think, 2 seasons ago, they were 14th in the West. Fast forward to today, and they might get the 1st seed. 2 seasons. I mean,
it's frustrating.
Gives us a bit of hope. You never know. We might be able to do it too.
Brother, the top 3 seeds in the West are all teams in our division. We are FUCKED for the next like 3 or 4 years.
And Shai at this point, like, speaking of the 1st seed battle, let's say they win that. I mean, I don't know. He might be able to win that MVP.
If they get the 1st seed, I think he should win the MVP.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely fair.
I mean, I'm a Shai fan. I'm a believer. So I want to see him get his MVP. Also, it'd just be another reason for us to laugh at the Clippers.
Yeah, I would love that too.
It'd be hilarious. Imagine they play the Clippers in the 2nd round. Oh, that'd be fun.
So what do you guys think? Should Shai win MVP this season? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.